Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Wednesday, July 30th, 4:56 Hawaiian Standard Time. You're gonna have to take my word for it because obviously you cannot see a clock on here. But yeah, take my word for it. That's what time I'm recording this. Today's video, we're going to be discussing becoming a full-time trader starts with your financial statement cash flow. Here is the old simple rich dad version of a financial statement: income, expenses, assets, liabilities. In order to be trading full time, if you have no clue of what your monthly and then annual expenses are, it's a little haphazard to try to hit a certain number that you need to live off from when you have no idea what that number is. I used to work with a guy that didn't seem to have too many goals, and he liked to say the unaimed arrow never misses. If you want to live your life that way, go for it. But what has been helping me to get to this point of trading for a living is to be very, very cognizant of what these numbers are on an annual, monthly, and I guess quarterly. It really depends how your expenses are set up. But this is really the number that's going to determine how much of this you need from trading or somehow from your stock portfolio in order to not really take a step down in lifestyle and also not have to work. These two will also come into play, but when they do come into play, they affect these numbers. In a really basic way of figuring out this one right here, for me that was where I started. In a real basic way of figuring that out is starting with this free monthly budget from Google Spreadsheets. And as you can see, I've been doing them for a while, going back. I don't know, quite a while. I'm not gonna. I don't know what other spreadsheets are there, but every month I'm doing one of these. So if I was when I was completely starting, I started monitoring what my what my expenses were. So every time a bill was paid or something was purchased, I recorded it on here. And maybe it took me a couple months to really figure out everything because in the beginning it was new, so maybe there was some purchase that I only make once in a while, like let's say shampoo. It's a reoccurring purchase, but it's not. I mean, I have short hair, I'm a bachelor, my shampoo lasts me quite a long time, so maybe I bought some stuff for like shampoo, shaving cream, and maybe I forgot to put that down. However, on an annual basis, it really needs to be there. So maybe it took me a couple months. Maybe it'll take you a couple months. Sometimes, like in the state of Hawaii, there is a annual car registration and annual safety check. So obviously, that is only going to happen 1 month out of 12. So the first month you're doing that, do you know exactly how much that's going to be or when it is? You may or you may not. So give yourself some time to be recording this, but these numbers, if these numbers are in place and you know what your planned expenses are, it's going to make figuring out trading strategies so much easier to be able to exit the rat race via the stock market. If you have no clue what these numbers are, then how do you create strategies? How do you create a trading portfolio to hit numbers that you're not aware of? If you want to do what my old coworker did, the unaimed arrow never misses. Well, best of luck to you. But I think I wouldn't do that myself. I didn't do it myself. I think it's actually a really stupid way to do it. It's really, to me, it's stupid. I don't think it's going to work. And but this is way more systematic. The other thing you can do, which most people do, and I don't really see people having success with it, is try to do a couple trades with $100 to become a multimillionaire in 2 weeks. I just really haven't seen anyone do it, and whenever I tried it, it really wasn't successful. What has worked for me, and just between you and I, today officially starts my life of full time trading. So what did work for me is very systematically and very thoroughly figuring out what my monthly expenses are, what my quarterly expenses are, and what my annual expenses are. And in certain places where I could lower those expenses without compromising my quality of life too much, and to be very just be very discerning on what is a good expense, what is a bad expense. Is it? I just really went through my expenses with a fine tooth comb, and I started doing that several years ago, and I've been actually using this spreadsheet for several years. But eventually, I know to the penny what my monthly expenses are for every month of the year. Now, maybe you could say, well, with inflation, maybe your car registration went up a bit or whatever. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I know to the penny of the year before. And it's pretty easy for me to structure trades. Like, let's say if I know that I generally am going to spend roughly around, let's say if I tend to spend around $100 a month on gas. Now you might say there's no way you could spend so little. There's You could say there's no way you could spend that much. You could say anything other than that. But the reality is, I actually spend less than that a month on gas, and there's a couple reasons why, even living out here in the state. But nonetheless, all the debating put aside, let's say if I wanted to make sure that I'm generating $100 a month minimum, because the next thing I need that I prefer to do is take this $100 times 20%. So that's an extra $20. Obviously, this math is pretty easy. We don't really need a calculator, but nonetheless, we're using one. So now I'm going to add in 20% of whatever the bill is. So that way, through whatever trading I'm doing or however I'm pulling money out of my brokerage account to pay that particular bill, I'm adding an extra 20%, that I need to generate an extra 20% to help cover tax. Now, maybe tax is going to be more, maybe tax is going to be less, but 20% is giving me a number to work with. So, through one or more trades in the course of, since it is, we're going into August. So, for me personally, I want to, ideally, I want to have this $120 wrapped up by these trades finished before the end of August, so I can use this $120 going into September. So the gas money for August really needed to be generated in closed trades in July. And I'm finding it to be pretty easy. And the reason why I'm finding it to be pretty easy is because, give me 1 second here. I'm finding it to be very easy because of this. Get ready, it's coming. Because of selling options have different days to expiration. So I can put on a number of trades that I know for a fact will be done in 20 days. So that way, if I needed to pay a bill and on, let's say, August 25th, if I placed a trade today that closed out in 20 days, that would give me 5 days before. So I'm finding it to be a pretty easy thing. I hope that gives you something. I hope it gives you something. I really understand it is not a a crash course. The only thing you're going to need to be a full time trader, which for myself, what I found is I needed multiple things, and given your own individual, let's say, intelligence, your own ability to regulate your emotions, your own temperament, your own numbers that you're starting with, which would include what is your current income from, I guess, maybe a job, what is your current expenses, what are your current assets, what are your current liabilities, these numbers that you're starting with, and I guess we will put the amount of money in your brokerage account in your asset column. We should maybe check with somebody else to know for sure where that's at. But let's just put it there. Whatever numbers you're starting with is really whatever numbers you're starting with, and whatever your individual psyche profile is, for lack of a better term. This stuff is going to greatly determine how quickly or how slowly this process unfolds for you. But from what I've noticed, this seems to be having control over this, I think, is more important than just doing the trading. Because again, without this, you're trying to hit numbers that you don't know what they are. I mean, if you figure out some ways to do some trades and you're making an extra $1,000 a month, but you really need to be around $8,000 a month, then it's a big discrepancy between those two numbers. You're obviously going to need to do something completely different. And if this is really really just foreign to you, an easy way to start getting a grip on this is at this website. Play this game. Play this game. Keep playing this game. Play it over and over again. One suggestion I would make though is don't become a game junkie. This game is a fantastic game. It's really what gave me the understanding of how to do this. Even to the point that playing this game, I started realizing there's different quality of assets. For example, in this game, I started realizing, these different real estate properties, whether they were apartment buildings or whether they were single family houses, it didn't really matter. They had different cards associated with them, like maybe there's a flood or um, interest rates drop or something. But there would be some card in the game that I had to pay money, that because I had this particular asset, it was showing me there's a vulnerability, there's some risk to that asset. And then I started noticing there's other assets in that game that are a little bit harder to come by, but they have no risk involved with it. So the more you play this game, you'll be self-educating, and if you don't just become a game junkie, if you don't take this game as like, I got out of the rat race in 1 minute and I can get out of the rat race faster than you. If you avoid that trap and you escape the rat race competition, and you start really trying to get out of the rat race here, because this is where it's at. Whether if you can get out of the rat race in 2 minutes or it takes you 10 hours, it's pretty much irrelevant, because ultimately this is a learning simulation. If you fail to take what you learn in simulation and put it into real life, then it's no different. It's no different than playing World of Warcraft or Grand Theft Auto. Or I don't know what these stupid video games. And yeah, I'm using the word stupid because I think video games are stupid. If you want to play them, you can do mental masturbation with that stuff all day. But this is the only game that I'll play. I guess I'll play Monopoly. I'm playing this game, I'm not playing some whack ass video games and pretending that it's somehow making my life better when I could play something like this that actually I can take those uh, take the wisdom and the knowledge that I'm learning in this game and directly apply it into my life so I can eat more and better food, drive more, work less. And you might say, "Oh, you're only spending $100 a month." Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because my initial goal, which I have just achieved starting today, is living completely off my trading account. So, hope that helps you. If it does or doesn't, I guess that's somewhat on me, but it's definitely on you. You have a great day.